Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that. The Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct literally just ended, and it had so much more information into that than I was expecting. I was not expecting them to go all out with this Direct, because if you've been paying attention to their theme Directs, like Mario Kart World, for example, they did that Direct, and, you know, that was a controversial Direct. So I was like, I don't know, it seems like Nintendo's new thing now is to not really show much about these games. So I thought this Donkey Kong Direct that was coming up was not going to be great. But we were wrong. This Donkey Kong Direct was probably one of Nintendo's best Directs they've ever done when it comes to like a theme with it. Or game specific, I guess. But we have so much to talk about and to what was shown off in this Direct. Oh my gosh, like I live streamed it. I went crazy. There were some things in there that I really was not expecting. But if you guys haven't already, make sure to backslash that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 21,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We're so close. I feel like we can pull it off. So I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's jump into what happened into this Direct. So it opened up with music being played, actually being sung by someone, which the voice sounded very familiar. And then it's just the first 30 seconds of the Direct, it's like a weird theme. Got like really dramatic. You weren't expecting that to happen from this Donkey Kong game. And then out of nowhere, Pauline shows up. It's the young Pauline model. We expected Pauline to be in this game because Nintendo of Brazil unfortunately leaked this, I think like 2 months ago, because they showed the Pauline render on their website. So we knew Pauline was in the game. We thought it was Pauline. It wasn't for sure Pauline, but it looked like it was Pauline. And I don't really know what this means for like the Mario storyline that they're going on here. I'm curious to see if it's the same voice actor that's Pauline for like Mario Odyssey, because she's doing a lot of singing into this game, and it just really sounded like the same person that did the Jump Up Superstar song with Mario Odyssey. So I thought that was very interesting. It was interesting that they flat out confirmed that she's in the game, because I kind of wondered if that was something that was being kept secretive for story details. But yeah, nope, that rock is actually Pauline. I don't know if you'll be able to get the rock back. What's going on with that? If the rock was just never a thing and it was always going to be Pauline and they were just keeping it as a surprise. It would have been very interesting to see this had happened and be officially revealed without the Brazil stuff that happened, because that was the only thing that leaked it. Could you imagine us going into this learning that Pauline was in the game without knowing that from the leak? That would have been crazy. If you pay attention to what the announcer is saying in the Direct, you'll notice some things that are said where he's talking about the gameplay of the game. And this is something that I don't know how I missed this when I was watching this, because this is definitely something that was explained before, but I guess it just really went over my head. If you pay attention, they emphasize it once again, and they also talk about it in the story details that they show us, is that each world from top to bottom is different. The further you go into the game, that's when you start getting to different worlds. I feel like that concept is very unique and very different from Nintendo. Overall, this is looking really good. They showed more things off than I feel like they did in the last trailer that was the grand reveal of this game. I really feel like they showed that there's more to this game than just destroying things, which I felt that was kind of some people's concern. But with this Donkey Kong game, they showed so many different mechanics off, so much different gameplay things going on. This is looking like a very great game, and I'm going to throw it out there. I think this is going to be a Game of the Year contender with what they showed off here, because there is so much into this game that we could have never imagined. And then this completely threw me off. I was not expecting this. Donkey Kong has 3 different forms, 3 special ability forms that allows a different gameplay options in terms of finding collectibles, and I guess really when you're fighting bosses. You can come out to be in Bonanza form, which Donkey Kong's like this giant thing that looks really awesome. I like that design a lot. They have Ostrich mode, where you can fly around and then you can become a zebra. Very different. Definitely reminds me a lot of Mario Odyssey in ways. You can tell that this is the Odyssey team with just how obscure that they went with these designs. I definitely think that this is going to be interesting to see, and I like that it's limited to 3 modes and not be something where they go all out and be like 10, 12 different Donkey Kong forms. I like that they've kept it specific to 3 details or 3 forms, And I feel like there might probably be one more as like a surprise whenever you fight that final boss. It's probably going to be what ends up happening. But I like how it's kept and they didn't go too crazy with the forms, because I feel like with Mario Odyssey, I feel like with Cappy, they kind of went a little too crazy with that concept. So there was a lot of speculation if King K. Rool was going to be the villain of this game, because if you pay attention to the dialogue that we've seen from the demo, there's a lot of indications that K. Rool might be returning, and then there's also been signs with some of the villains or the bosses, the enemies, that look kind of like K. Rool. Some of the structures feel like references to K. Rool, but as of right now, it looks like King K. Rool is not in the game. It's this group called the Void Group that you're fighting. However, I said in my stream that I am wondering if it is possible that King K. Rool is like the final boss as a surprise. Like, you think you defeated this Void Group, and then what you find out is that the Void Group was actually lurking for K. Rool the whole time, and that is our final boss. I don't know. They showed the Void Group off. They showed some boss fights. It looks interesting. I was really hoping for K. Rool. I think that would have been really cool and really a throwback, since it looks like Donkey Kong is coming back, and I think this game's going to do really well for Nintendo. I just don't think it's going to do Odyssey level numbers for them. But I feel like it would make sense to have K. Rool come back at this point of time, especially with all the K. Rool hype of Smash Bros. Of him being in the game. It just would have made more sense. But it was cool to see nonetheless. I'm still holding out that K. Rool might actually be in the game as a surprise. This was also very interesting. I didn't feel like the Donkey Kong Bonanza game was going to have much of a storyline here. But if you go back to this direct, there is a lot of voice acting to it and a lot of cutscenes. So it looks like they're going pretty heavy into the story of Donkey Kong Bonanza. I feel like with what we're seeing, with how far they went into it, it almost looks like they're treating this as like a, I don't know if this is the correct wording I want to use here, but with some of these cutscenes, they're treating this as it's like a Zelda storyline game. Because they really went all out with some of these cutscenes, and implies that there's so much story to it. And there's a lot of Pauline voice acting, which I thought was very interesting. This game's taken an approach that I wasn't really expecting, and it looks like it's going to be a heavily focused story game, which I think is pretty cool to see, and definitely something different that you wouldn't see from the Donkey Kong series, in my opinion. They have confirmed that there are challenge courses, which this makes sense why Nintendo now did not want people to go to certain areas with Donkey Kong Bonanza. And there's a lot of different challenge courses. You'll end up at the original Donkey Kong game, it looks like, at one point. You'll have the minecart levels come back as side-scrolling levels, which was pretty unexpected. We really wasn't sure what was going to happen to those. And it looks like there's going to be 3D levels when it comes to the minecart stuff. They are really going all out with the amount of content that is in Donkey Kong Bonanza, because they showed so many challenge courses, so many different gameplay routes you could do with this game. I think it's very cool to see. It looks like they're taking the collectathon aspect of this and adding a lot of things to collect into this game, because I feel like there's like 6 or 7 different things that you can look for in this game in terms of 100%ing it. I think they also showed off fossils were going to be a thing into this game. And I'm pretty sure, unless this is showing off everything that you can collect in a world, when it comes to these fossils, at one point they showed that there is like 74 items in one world. But it looked like it was showing off 74 fossils into one world. But this could be counting fossils, CDs, all the stuff that you can collect into Donkey Kong. But it really feels like they're going pretty crazy with the collecting in it. Because if there's 74 fossils into one world, all the stuff that you have to collect with the CDs, bananas, all that, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool what they're doing here. It looks like they're focusing on that the most there. There's a skill tree in the Donkey Kong game. They got RPG elements in here. You can upgrade your health, power to your punches. You can unlock new moves through this. Again, something you just don't expect to see from a Donkey Kong game. And they showed this off heavily. It looks like the skill tree is something that's going to be very important to this game. Again, I wasn't expecting Donkey Kong to have this. This was definitely the most random thing, I feel like, when it comes to the announcements. This part, I feel like, doesn't surprise me too much. I think I'm more surprised with how far they went with it. Character customization is in Donkey Kong. If you paid attention to Mario Odyssey, they had a lot of character customization in there. But it looks like you can change the color of Donkey Kong with the character customization, which I just wasn't expecting that. And interestingly enough, it looks like each hat, clothing, whatever you decide to dress up as, gives you certain abilities, certain power boosts, defense upgrades, stuff like that. That's something that I don't believe Mario Odyssey did when it came to the costumes in that game. So again, more RPG elements into Donkey Kong, which is just, again, very interesting, especially considering that I feel like this is more of a collectathon in a 3D world. Looks like they have so many different gameplay genres coming together here with this Donkey Kong. They've also confirmed that there is 2-player co-op in the game, which the gameplay is pretty much like Mario Galaxy. If you guys play 2-player with the Mario Galaxy, you'll have a good idea. And I think Mario Odyssey has a very similar 2-player mode as well. But basically, the second player will be playing as Pauline. You're going to be controlling the voice lines. Looks like when you're singing, it can do some serious damage to the enemies. So I thought that was pretty cool and different. While announcing the 2-player mode, they announced that you can use game share with this, which was very interesting because they announced through the game share that you can actually play Donkey Kong Bonanza local play with the Nintendo Switch 1 players when you use the game share feature, which that is pretty exciting to see. There's a few games that have been able to do this game share thing. I feel like, I might be wrong, I feel like Split Fiction was one of the first games to be able to do that with the Switch. I think Fast Fusion does it. I don't think anything from Nintendo has had this ability yet. So this will be the first game that has the ability to use game share from Switch 2 to Switch 1 with local play. So that's going to be really cool to see. I know a lot of people will be happy about that, especially if no one was able to get the Switch 2 yet and they're stuck with the Switch 1 and they have a friend that has Donkey Kong Bonanza. They'll have a fun time doing that. I got so pumped for this at first because I saw mouse controls and I was like, oh my gosh. They show mouse controls being used into Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it was not the way that I was hoping for it to be. It was them announcing a brand new mode. I think they called it Donkey Kong Artist, which was like Donkey Kong Paint, essentially. You can make your own drawings, creations through the mouse mode of the Switch 2. I guess this is cool. I'm not going to be using this most likely. I thought they were actually showing off that you would be able to play the actual game in some form through mouse controls, and I wasn't sure how they were going to pull that off, so I was so pumped in my live stream when this was shown off, and then like my hype from here went like all the way down here when I was seeing what it actually was, and I was like, no. But I'm sure that this is going to be utilized by a lot of people on social media. This is why these type of modes exist. Nintendo knows that this is going to be used, and it gives them publicity with these games. Any type of mode like this, someone's going to utilize it at its fullest, and you'll see crazy things come out of this curation mode. This one I wasn't expecting, especially considering we're a month away from the game coming out, but they have confirmed that Amiibo will be supported into Donkey Kong Bonanza, showing that every Donkey Kong Amiibo will work. And, you know, part of me was like, huh, they showed K-Rool. And then I was like, no, I'm reading too much into it. They're just showing off all the Donkey Kong Amiibos. But they did show K-Rool Amiibo, the Smash Bros. One working for it. So maybe K-Rool was in the game. I don't know. I'm probably just manufacturing hype right there. I don't know. That's what Nintendo was doing right there, showing K-Rool. We're probably not getting K-Rool. But what was very interesting is that they confirmed a brand new Donkey Kong Amiibo. It's the Donkey Kong new render, the new design with Pauline. So this is actually technically the first Pauline Amiibo, even though it's more of a Donkey Kong Amiibo. It's got Donkey Kong and Pauline on the same side of the Amiibo. As of right now, they haven't shown the pricing, but I expect that this is probably a $30 Amiibo. Those tariffs have made these Amiibos so expensive now, but it is coming out with the game. I thought for sure that this Amiibo was coming out later in the year, but no, they are actually having the Amiibo come out with the game, which is coming out next month. I'm definitely picking up this Amiibo. I think this is one of the coolest looking Amiibos that have come out from Nintendo. Very pumped for this one. I love it. When I finally complete my Amiibo set, like the Smash Bros. Ones, they're like, we got to get more Amiibos out for Max to buy them. Because yeah, that one I'm definitely picking up day one, especially since it's one Amiibo compared to like the Zelda ones over here and Street Fighter ones. That was crazy money to be spent on with the Switch 2. And then at the last part of the Direct, they show like a gameplay sizzle reel of it, and there's 20 seconds of it, and there's a lot to take in with what they've shown off. They did this with Mario Kart World, where they show so much at once at the very end that you're like, what in the world's going on here? They did it with Donkey Kong, because at one point, I mean, the thing that I paid attention the most is that they confirmed that Diddy's back. Let's go. Woo! Yeah, I'm very pumped about Diddy returning. They show that Donkey Kong and Pauline are actually racing Diddy and Dixie Kong. So I thought that was very interesting, and they don't even talk about that in the Direct at all. They just showed it for 2 seconds, and they, again, show the fact that there is a heavy story regarding this Donkey Kong game with so much voice act. A lot to take in from this Direct. I feel like this was definitely one of their best Directs that they've done in terms of, again, game-specific Direct, because I had very low expectations going into this, and they just showed so much about this game that we weren't expecting. So props to Nintendo for this Direct. I was already picking up the game, but I've been seeing online how people are talking about how great this presentation was and how they are now pre-ordering the game because of this. I'm very pumped. I think this is going to be a special game. I think that, honestly, I do think this is going to get nominated for the Game of the Year. I don't think it's going to win, but after seeing what we're seeing here, I think this is definitely getting nominated. Guys, I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord, Instagram, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.